Welcome back to Morning View, Mackinac Uncensored. This was now our third year of this program, and we've got a great lineup of some really very important people with expertise in areas that are so important to Michigan right now.
Absolutely. It's been a great conference, and again, for the third year in a row, we're ending in this fashion, sending people home safely. However, if you need a Bloody Mary before you go get on the horse, we've got a great Bloody Mary bar here in the parlor for you.
Yeah. So Dennis and I were just talking. It's funny that our first session we're going to kick off with is sort of how we ended last year.
These damn roads.
Fix the damn roads. So we're going to talk about a lot of different issues, but our first panel, very, very knowledgeable on this topic. How are we going to fix the damn roads?
I'm anxious to hear. Good morning.
Lindsay, turn it over to you.
Good morning. Thank you. Hi, I'm Lindsay Van Hully. I'm a Capitol reporter for Bridge Magazine in Lansing, and I am joined today by Paul Ajaba, the director of the Michigan Department of Transportation.
Good morning.
And Regine Beaubuff, Vice President and Senior Program Manager for HNTB Michigan, Inc.
Good morning.
Good morning. So I guess just to start, let's start by sort of framing this issue, because everyone knows, roads are bad. We drive over potholes every day. So, if we talk about really what the need is, kind of summarize for us just what the need is right now, how did we get here, and what really happens if we continue where we are?
Well, what I would say is that we did not get here overnight. It took us 40 years of disinvestment in our infrastructure to get this bad. So along the way, we were digging ourselves a big hole. Now to climb out of it, it's going to take a whole lot of money. And I think that's where we are. If you look at the previous administration put a panel together, they did its study before they left office, that the study did show that we needed $2.2 billion. And what the governor is asking for is 2.5. So what that tells me is that the longer we wait, the more expensive it's going to get. The governor did a presentation yesterday, and there was a slide in there that shows that in 2 years, right now, our pavement conditions at 78%. In 2 years, if we don't do anything, it goes down to 65%. You can imagine if people are saying 78% is not good enough, if we let it keep sliding down that scale, it's just going to get worse and get more expensive.
And that's 78% of roads in good and fair condition, right?
That is correct. And you'll hear people say, we don't believe that number because it is just so bad.
Well, and let's talk about that because, in 2015, as we know, we had a package signed into law that created $1.2 billion in funding. Talk about that number and what that did, and how that need is different today from just a few years ago.
Well, in 2015, the legislature passed a bill for $1.2 billion. But what I'm finding out is that this really part of the issue, the public thought the issue, this road funding is solved. The $1.2 billion is only committed $600 million. And that did not kick in till 2017, 2 years after the bill was passed. And the other $600 million is not even kicked in yet. Not going to kick in till 2021. So while we're waiting for the other $600 million to kick in, our roads are steadily going down. So, and quite frankly, that $600 is not guaranteed. That in 2021, the new legislatures may say, well, we are in the red, we don't have the money, we can't afford to give you $600 million. So that's why the governor is saying we should not play the shell game anymore. Let's have dedicated funds strictly to roads that nobody, no other legislatures coming behind us can touch. It will be strictly constitutionally dedicated to the roads.
And so let's talk about the governor's proposal. She's the highlight being the 45-cent gas tax increase spread out over a year. That generates that $2.5 billion that you were talking about. So talk about how that money would be invested, where it would go, and why that's seen as the best option moving forward.
Well, our plan, if you look at the 2015 package, MDOT was on record as saying we needed $1.2 billion just for our system. And when the bill was passed, it was $1.2 billion, and they ran it through the Act 51 formula. MDOT only got 39% of that. So what the governor is saying is that let's not put this package through the Act 51 formula. Let's use this money concentrated on the most heavily traveled roadways with economic impact so that we can start seeing some results.
Regine, what do you think about the governor's proposal? You know, what do you think about what it would do and that idea of putting funding where the most heavy traffic is?
Well, I believe it's a very sensible plan because really those are the roads that take the most pounding and that deteriorate the quickest. And so they also serve economic centers of development. And so that is a sensible thing to do. And I know that others have spoken about other means to raise money for transportation to fix our roads. But actually, as she demonstrated yesterday, first of all, having the 45 cents gas tax gives us a dedicated pot of money to fix our roads that constitutionally we cannot move away from. And the second thing that it does, it actually allows us to right now address an issue that is actually pretty urgent.
And so let's talk a little bit about, kind of the business case for investing in roads. What are the economic implications really of potholes? And you were kind of talking about just that a minute ago.
Well, there are quite a few. First of all, investing in our roads provides us a platform for rapid economic growth. And investing in fixing our roads, is key to sustaining and growing our economic model ecosystem. That actually provides us the opportunity to compete in a globalized economy. We are asking everyone to come and invest in Michigan. But as an example, someone flies in to Metro Detroit and drives on I-94 to arrive to the city. And I don't know if you've driven I-94 from the airport into the city of Detroit. We have plywood holding our bridges. And so it's really hard to make the case that we are the place to invest in. We are the technology, state. We will meet, your needs and your logistics needs when we have plywood holding our, superstructure in place. So if we're giving this message that if we don't invest in ourselves, how can we ask others to invest? And then businesses such as mine, we need to know what the steady stream of revenue is in order to plan, to hire, to grow our talent, to also invest in equipment, technology to make us more efficient in meeting the needs of our client. And by knowing that we have a steady stream of revenue allows us to do that, as opposed to reacting to sporadic, infusion of cash that we've been doing lately. So that doesn't really, and then in addition to that, one of the concerns that we have is talent in this state. And I will tell you that all graduates now, they're very demanding. No one wants to come to work just to fill potholes and also to just remove, the pavement and put 1 inch and a quarter of asphalt over roads. All graduates, they want to work on creative project, innovative project, on sexy project. I know it's hard for a lot of people to believe that engineering is sexy, but to me, nice laid out concrete road is sexy. And I think people who do work in STEM, that's what they're looking for. They're looking to really do great things. And so we can't compete with other states that are doing them in actually recruiting and retaining our talent.
That 45 cents, though, is pretty steep. And some of the opposition we've seen to that proposal so far is really centered around the size of that. Mm-hmm. There's concerns about how the funding distribution model would favor freeways and urban areas over the local streets that people drive on. I think when a lot of people, when they say fix the roads, it's the streets you drive on every day, right? It's the one you take to work or to school. So how do you sort of make the case to residents in the state that the size of that gas tax and this new distribution model really is the one that makes the most sense?
Well, I do believe that, first of all, when we raise this amount of money and we put it, like you mentioned, towards the freeway and all, what it does, it frees the money that would be going to the freeways to address the other roads. So we're not neglecting the local road system just because we're investing more into our, our freeways or the roads that need it the most. And I will tell you, 35 cents, it does sound like a lot, but we are actually now spending more in fixing our cars. Our company, we are now the program manager for the Mound Road project in Macomb County, which has been made famous because we talk about the craters that are on mounds. Well, I'll tell you one time, there is a committee that is, that also is an advisory committee to the consulting team delivering this project. And this gentleman is part of the team and is driving to the meeting, and his tire blows. And if you think that fixing the dam road is a colorful language, you should have read the email that he sent regarding the need to fix our dam roads, because he ended up missing the meeting and he ended up spending $850 fixing his car that day. So we do spend money, but we just don't spend it at the pump. We spend it on our cars, and that's a loss of disposable income.
Paul, what do you think?
No, I totally agree. You know, the governor and I have been doing a lot of town halls all over the state. And the one that really stuck out to me was we were in Detroit. And so I brought up the fact that there's a trip study that says that the average Michigander spends about $600 fixing their cars. And the lady sitting in the front there blurted out. She said, I spent $1,600 this winter to fix my car. So that's $1,600 that she probably never planned for, obviously, that didn't go to fixing the roads. It's just fixing her car. And as the governor said, we're already paying for this. Why not pay for it the right way to fix the roads?
You know, a lot of ideas, I think, and you, I'm sure, probably hear some of these at some of the town halls, but a lot of ideas get thrown around about how to raise money for roads, whether it's gas tax or sales tax. Bonding, toll roads come up a lot, registration fees, you know, diverting some general fund spending, you know, making roads a priority within the general fund. What are some of the pros and cons of some of those ideas? And you know, why is the gas tax, at least in your view, the preferred option in this case?
Well, as she said, you know, there's an immediate need right now. As I mentioned, in 2 years, we'll be down to 65% if we don't do anything. The governor said, this is my idea, my plan on how to take care of the problem now. All those other ideas are great. If somebody has a better idea on how to raise $2.5 billion, she's willing to listen. And I think that's a good thing. In my opinion, this is the best plan on the table. It is constitutionally dedicated towards fixing the roads. There is no moving the money around into the general fund or school aid and playing all those crisscrossing shell games. So I think unless we have a better plan to debate, this is what's on the table.
Regine, what about you, as far as looking at gas tax compared to things like bonds or
Well, bonds is really a financing issue, not a revenue necessarily. Well, it's a short-term revenue, but it's really, you have to pay for it eventually anyways, and with interest. But, you know, I looked at all of those, and the gas tax is something that we can do. We do it now. Yes, we talk about registration fees, but you notice that, you know, millennials, they're not buying cars as well. Ford Motor Company is moving away from being a manufacturing, you know, a car manufacturer to being a mobility company. So there is a recognition that people are not buying cars. So registration fees is probably not the best way. I know we talk about vehicles miles traveled as another option. And I know there are quite a few issues with that, because people are concerned about privacy. We have other states that have tried that. Colorado has had a pilot program, but it lasted about 4 months. It wasn't, but it tells you, the director tells you that it will take 10 years, because you need to have the laws in place, you need to have the guidelines in place to actually implement that. I know Oregon has started a program like this. It's called Orego, but it's limited. It's about 5,000 drivers that are part of it. But if you look at those states, they've already met their baseline. Their road system is in good shape. So now they have the time to think, you know, and also the ability to sit and say, okay, what other tools are there to help us improve on what we already have? And I think what MDOT and the governor, what they're saying is, give us the tools to really, we can be innovative. We are. As a matter of fact, the director has proven that he can be innovative in the US 23 flex route. He can be efficient, but we have to give them the tools to be able to do that. And I think that's what the gas tax does. Let's bring our road to a good condition. And then let's talk about those additional fixes, additional ways, you know, but that will take time to implement, you know, what it takes to, and then we need to study and know exactly how we're going to do that, and we can really take the time in partnership with the legislature, with the MDOT, the state, and also the industry partners to do that.
So we're down to about our last minute or so. So I do want to ask you, to kind of put your crystal ball out there and get a sense of, when it comes to a road funding deal between the governor and the legislature, when do we see a compromise, and what do you think it looks like?
I think there's a compromise ahead. I'm an optimist. I really believe that at the end of the day, we'll get the $2.5 billion.
Do you think it'll all come from the gas tax, though?
Again, it could be a combination of. Again, I think there's a compromise to be had.
Regine?
Well, I believe the legislature and the governor have proven they can work together to make hard decisions, so I see why not on the road funding. That benefits everyone, so we'll see something.
Well, thank you very much for being here. Thanks for tuning in.
Thank you. Thank you, Lindsay.
Thank you.
Thank you.